To Eileen Fisher's Women Together. My name is Antoinette, and I'm so glad to be here with you all and really excited for today's session. Thanks, Leah. What we can do is type into the chat and just share a little bit about where we're coming from today. So we love to just see where everyone is, and we see a few of them coming in. So if you're in Zoom, you can click on the bottom of your screen on the chat button and type in directly there. And if you are on YouTube, you can type in the comment section. So either way, we'll get where you're coming from and we can share a few of them. So we've got Jane in New York City, Kathleen, Arlington, Mass, Adrian, North Carolina. We've got Fairfield, Connecticut, Minneapolis, Election Day. Yes, it is Election Day. And in the United States, at least, Reno, Nevada, Sweden, and San Antonio, Texas, Winchester, Mass. Election Day in New York City, Irvington, New York, Philadelphia, Long Island, DC. Wonderful. So we're really coming in from across the United States and a few places from around the world. So wonderful to be all together and really just coming together. We've been doing this week after week. So a little reminder for those of you who may be new, a warm welcome to you all. And just as we land here, it's wonderful to just share not only where we're coming from, but also, what's brought us here. So we'll do a little bit of that in a few moments, share some intentions, and then we have an extraordinary special guest with us who I'm so delighted to have with us. And what we've been doing is really just connecting week after week since the beginning of the pandemic. And but prior to the pandemic, we were connecting in person in Irvington, New York, and many of us also on Zoom in hybrid events. And that experience really allowed us to have resilience in the moments that we needed it most and that we need it most. And these Zoom Connects were really set up to just be able to get present with these tiny practices and land here and be able to have the practices for when we need it most. So this moment of the pandemic and the grief that many of us have experienced, we've really been able to face the current moment with resilience. And so what we've also done is really developed a community here, and I see many familiar faces and so delighted to see all of us coming together again. And what you can do is you can go into, if you're on Zoom, you can click on the view button on the top right of your screen, and you can just make it a gallery view so that you can see everybody who's here. And if you're not on video, you could turn your video on just so that you can allow yourselves to be seen and allow yourselves to see others. So just taking a moment to really see this community here and see all of us coming in. And we know that that many of us are coming in at the top of the hour. So this is a way to just land here together. Wonderful. And then you could pick maybe 4 boxes on the screen and just take a little moment to say hello. And when we're saying this hello or we're giving this welcome to each other, we're doing this with our eyes. Some of us are waving, but we're also expanding that into our whole body. Often we spend our time chin up on Zoom or, with each other. We're thinking and using our brains and it's all good. But how do we bring that into the body? So if we acted as if the body was filled with eyes, that every pore in our body was a sensing mechanism, had the capacity to really just allow the person in front of you, those four boxes, to land here. We've got babies in the house today. Wonderful. And just really being with the people here on the screen, really seeing each other and allowing ourselves to be seen. Just taking a breath, taking these wonderful women in with our whole body, our whole being. Wonderful. And we'll let that lead into a moment of stillness and just landing here in our own bodies and our own selves and just tuning into what really brought us here today, what brought us into connection with each other. And you can get your feet flat on the ground if that's available to you. Tune into the breath. Just really connecting in with what brought you here today, but also letting go of anything that may have come before this moment. So just landing here with the inhale and the exhale, the breath that is always there for us. Just finding ourselves in the body in this space. You can lower your gaze or close your eyes, just softening your focus. And I'll ring the sound of a singing bowl, a little moment of ritual to allow us just to connect inwards, just being fully here, fully present in the body with our feet on the earth, our head in the sky, our breath moving in and out. And I'll ring the sound of the bell to bring us further into that moment of stillness. And I'll ring the sound again to bring us back together on the screen. Wonderful. When you're ready, you can return your attention to the screen, to the connection here with each other. And you can just type into the chat, what brought you here today? It's often a great way to start something is to land in the intention. So what brought you here today? What are you hoping to have happen here? I know many of us come back week after week. And you can type it again in the chat on Zoom or in the comment section on YouTube, and I'll read a few out. Just to note, some of our YouTube friends coming in from Baltimore, San Diego, New Hampshire, Colorado, Alabama. Wonderful. So I see some coming in already. Kindred spirits, to see everyone and learn together, a need for community and support, connection and self-care time. Missed a few weeks, missed everyone. Weekly fix of good energy, to feel into more connections with those I don't already know. Some friendly faces. Wonderful. So there's so many of us coming in for different reasons. I personally am very excited to see Zainab, and I saw a couple others as well. To have Zainab back with us, who has been with us before in person. We had an incredible day together and really just exploring. Her book at the time was that had just come out was Freedom is an Inside Job. And Zainab really brought us into this inner space of what does freedom actually mean coming from inside. And we had an incredible day with her. So I'm so, so glad and grateful to have her back with us. And Zainab, I think we first met at a conference at Omega for women in leadership. And I was just so blown away by our experience together and you sharing, poetry and dance and these kind of joys of your life. And just before I turn it over to you, Zainab, I just will share with our guests here that that you're a humanitarian, an author, a journalist, that you've been identified by Oprah as one of the 25 women changing the world, and by People magazine and Foreign Policy magazine calling you one of the 100 top global thinkers. You have been the founder and former CEO of the Women for Women International, which is an organization that not only are we constantly inspired by, but has been crucial, especially in the recent weeks and months with the Afghan women situation. So we know that the work that you've done over the many decades or the couple of decades plus that this organization has been running, have been so crucial for women around the world. And your two books, Between Two Worlds and Freedom is an Inside Job. And I've been so excited about your recent podcast, Redefined, and your role as Chief Awareness Officer at Fine Center and the co-founders of Daughters for Earth. I just feel that you are truly tapping into what's needed in the moment now for women around the world. And that's really been the calling that you've answered and have just been, it's such a gift to the world and to be here with this community. I just, you know how much I love you. And I'm so grateful that you're here. So, and Eileen as well. So it's just wonderful to have you with us again. So I'll turn it over to you and maybe you can just update us on what's going on for you, what's been coming up, and if you have a practice for us to dive into, and then we'll turn to each other in breakouts and just kind of let what you share land. But over to you.
Thank you, Antoinette. Actually, I hope you feel the love I have for you as well. And of course, for Eileen. And so good to be here again. And thanks for all your generosity and love. A couple of years ago, I thought I was taking my last breath. My life moved from a very, not only normal day, a good day where I had like my measurements for what is success in life is, and check, a job, successful career, a boyfriend, a vacation coming up, nice clothes, check. And overnight, I felt I was going to die. And, in a long story short, I was rushed into ER, from ER to the ambulance, from the ambulance to an operating room, and from the operating room to a week in the ICU, where there was a moment in which I came close to taking my last breath. And in that very intimate moment, between oneself and one heart. I mean, I was surrounded with family and with doctors, of course, but there was a very intimate space in that moment. And the first words, Antoinette and everyone else, that came from my heart in that second was not, what have I accomplished? Was not, did I get enough acknowledgements or did I build enough in my life? Was actually a very simple question. Did I live my life in kindness to myself and to others? Did I live my life in love to myself and to others? And that was the question that came in that very intimate space that I am convinced all of us will face. And as we go about our death, all of us. So the weeks and the months that followed, this was just before COVID. So I call it a pre-exposure to the experience that many then had in COVID. But the weeks and the months that followed was a humbling period in my life, because I couldn't think, I couldn't walk. All the tools that I had to survive and to be who I am, the humanitarian, the author, the feminist, the women's rights activist, all of that, they were no longer with me. I lost them for health reasons. I lost them. And it really forced me to the question of not only really reflecting, did I live my life in kindness and to myself? You see, I always lived my life in kindness to others, but I never questioned about myself. I always gave love to others, but not to myself. That was not in the trajectory. So the months and weeks and months and even years that followed, I was forced to ask the question, then who am I? And how do I live my life out of that question, kindness and love? And what I'm about to share with you today is the journey of what I learned. And I want to start with the first learning. Start, close, in, as the poet David White says. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you do not want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet, your own way to begin the conversation. Start with your own question. Give up on other people's questions. Don't let them smother something simple. To hear another's voice, follow your own voice. Wait until that voice becomes an intimate, private ear that can really listen to another. Start right now. Take a small step you can call your own. Don't follow someone else's heroics. Be humble and focus. Start close in. Don't mistake that other for your own. Start close in. Don't take the next step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you do not want to take. So when you invited me here to speak about how do we redefine ourselves, and really it has become a journey of redefining ourselves. And when I didn't know where do I start, I got the advice of start with the first step. Find the solid ground you know and start in that step. And then once your feet is anchored there, try to find another solid ground and do one by the other. So that was the first lesson I learned. And in the second lesson I learned is anchor yourself in love to yourself. Anchor yourself in love. Now, I didn't, we talk about self-love a lot, but I honestly didn't know what self-love mean. I mean, I get massages, we'd go to retreats. And it was a very simple exercise that I learned that really opened my eyes to what is self-love. And it is a meditation on one's face, on your face, in the bathroom mirror or any mirror you want to use, and when I tried to do it, was like my face was too many features, my eyes and brows and all of these things. So I took one eye and I took one pupil, and I continued to meditate on that every day for 10 minutes. And then there was something magical happen in that very simple meditation, which is at one point I'm like, oh my God, and it's beautiful. I am beautiful. And the I am was not my face or Zainab, it was the soul that is inside me was beautiful. And that anchoring myself or anchoring oneself in beauty or in love for the self or seeing oneself, because when we see ourselves, when we see our souls, we're not judgmental often of it, we're loving, we see its purity and authenticity. And that for me was a very important step that I started my journey towards. The third one is, what do I do with the old stories? Because we all have attachment to the old stories. What has this person done to me? I've been hurt by this and this, my parents, my marriage, my whatever it is, right? We all have these stories that our sort of sense of victimhood is constantly attached to it. This is why I'm like this, because they did this and this to me. So the third step for me was truly understand, what did people do to me? Okay. Harder question. What have I done to myself? Where are the places that I have betrayed myself or did not follow my truth and all of that? And the even hardest question, what have I done to hurt others? And when these questions, these are harsh questions, when we ask them without anchoring ourselves in love to the soul that we are, because all souls are beautiful, I assure you, when you see it, it's beautiful. When we anchor ourselves from that foundation and ask these questions, we are asking them in love and in compassion to ourselves first. And when we can find it to ourselves and can forgive ourselves for the things that we have done to betray ourselves and to hurt ourselves, it's so easy to forgive ourselves when we have hurt others and even ask for apologies, or rather offer apologies. And it's much easier to forgive others to what have they done for us. But that clearing of the old mess of the bag that we each carry on our back, and it's making our back hunched down and heavy, that baggage has to be released. And my image for it is we cannot release it by just going frankly. And as much as I go to energy healers, all of that, it cannot be released by someone else. It can only be released by ourselves, because we have to look at it, understand it, address it. And once that is addressed, it's like a pimple in your face. You squeeze it, and then when the pus comes out, that's when it's out. No energy healer can do that for you. You are the only one who can do that. And once that happened for me, I put all these stories in a canoe and I release the canoe into the water. And it's like letting go of the old story, because if I don't let go of the old stories, then my identity is so attached to that story. And then I cannot move forward. I have to release that past in order to redefine myself and find my truest voice of what is the future that I want to be. What is the present that I want to live in? So we can't redefine if we don't release the past. The fourth one is finding your truest voice. Now, when I was in that vulnerable state, there are a few tools I use to help me find my truest voice. And one of them is I call an appointment with my heart. Some call it meditation, some call it prayers. It doesn't matter how you connect to your heart, but I started calling it an appointment for two reasons. One, I call it an appointment with my heart, then it is taken seriously, because you see your soul and then you respect your heart seriously. And I make an appointment here, and if I miss it, I feel really bad. So I'm like, if I miss my appointment with my heart, then it's an obligation and responsibility that I have towards myself. Because here's the thing, when I was very ill, I see an image of my heart holding my hand and saying, don't leave me again. Because I think that's what it means, that we can give love to others, but not to ourselves, is that connection with our hearts is a must. And the second thing, I do that appointment with my heart because I came to the realization that space I have for myself, that 20 minutes I allocate for myself, is where I get all, when I really manage to silence my heart, I really get to find the wisdom. I get to understand what are the things that it gets downloaded to me, wisdom towards my work or myself or my relationships. It doesn't matter. So it becomes a source of information, that appointment with my heart. It's just like you coming to this session in here. For me, this is what I learned from my heart. So that became a crucial part into finding my inner voice. Who am I? What am I here for? What is my purpose? What is my truest voice? I kept on asking that question. And the second thing that I did is I start spending time in nature all the time. And here's what I found learning from nature, many things. But there's a trail by my home. I moved from the city into nature, and I found myself the first half an hour of the trail, I'm chattering. My mind is chattering, we're wondering, thinking about work and family and life and anything. Second half of that trail, it goes into complete silence. And lo and behold, every time I go into complete silence, I notice magnificent beauty around me. The birds in an orchestra of beauty, the flowers, the leaves. And it's like the beauty is in here in front of us. The gratitude we have for the things we want is here in front of us, but we often do not see it. We often don't. And so when I take the time to see it, it sort of gets me closer to myself, to my heart, what excites me, what makes me happy. Over time, Antoinette and everyone else, I have come to learn to have my 7 rules of a happy day, right? 7 rules of a happy day. 1, appointment with my heart. Okay. 2, go and spend time in nature. It heals, and there is wisdom in it that we have to respect. And the heart has a language that we have to learn, to hear. 3, drink lots of water. 4, eat healthy food. Basic, very basic. And I'm not doing health because I want to lose weight. Healthy food allows my spirit to be talking with me. It allows me rather to hear my spirit, to hear my heart's language. Fifth, connect with family and friends. And that has become most important thing for me, because when we adventure into this new chapter of our lives, as we are redefining who are we, then we need support and we need love, and family and friends and community. It's most essential. 7, for me, it is, I want to do anything in the art. I start teaching myself piano. It doesn't matter. You read a book, you play musical instrument. It doesn't matter, but connect to any kind of art. And 7, fulfill my purpose. And so then I am asking myself, then the purpose part, then what is my purpose? But when I kept on going into that heart's language and into nature and into silence, from it came answers. From that space came answers. And my answers for me was, oh my God, if I can connect this profoundly to my heart, to nature, to others, and frankly, to God. And God for me is not anything or anybody, it is everything and everybody. Then I want to contribute to helping people find that connection that I'm having, because I finally found my joy. And it wasn't because I accomplished this in life or that in life. It wasn't because I made this much money or that much money, or I had this boyfriend or that. It was because I found it inside my heart, because I started listening to my heart's language. And once that became a definition, it's like, oh, I think that's my purpose. Everything started coming. So as you said, I am part of, I'm hosting Redefined podcast, asking people about these redefining moments in their lives and what they've learned. I am part of Find Center, a platform that helps people, support people in their journey of self-discovery and growth. I wanted to connect with nature, and I started helping Daughters for Earth, finding Daughters for Earth, a fund to help women be actively engaged in climate change. It all came though. It all came. And as I conclude, I want to share a few things that I learned in the process. Redefining our lives does not only entail letting go of the past, working on the past and letting go of it. It requires risk, because at one point we have this paradigm. Do I stay in the comfortable ground that I know with all my insecurities and all my pains and all my old stories, but it's comfortable and I know it? Or do I jump off the cliff and take a risk and go towards where my heart is asking me to go? And it's scary and it's risky. 2, every time I have done that in my life, I have learned to trust life. We show up, we do our work, we give our intention, and we do it with love and compassion to ourselves and to others, and then trust. I just have learned to trust life, and it works. And the 3rd is community. Community is important because as we are reshaping our lives towards our truest self and our truest voice and redefining it. I live in the countryside. A lot of my friends in the city are still criticizing, what, you're not doing this or this, you still have, I replace, not my quote, someone else's quote, the fear of missing out with the joy of missing out. The joy of missing out of all the actions there, because I am living in my truest self. And that one was like doing cocktails, events and all of that, but it's not my truest self, because that's where I'm happiest. And so I came to the discovery that it is possible to create a new story for ourselves and redefine our life in the way we want to live it out of our truest desire, as opposed to what our family or friends and communities and the society tells us at large. And I want to end with few words that did come from my heart. And it says, it's called The New Story. And this is my offering for all of you. What if I am not sadness? What if I'm not grief? What if I am not my victim story, nor am I my pain? What if they are all part of me, but not fully me? What if I am just me? What if I am joy without reason, happiness in all seasons? What if I am love for all? What if I laugh for no reason and all the reasons? What if they are all part of me? What if I don't hate my enemy? What if I forgive? What if I am clear about my right and my wrong and still see me? What if my actions are not defined vis-a-vis him or her? What if they are defined vis-a-vis my truth? What if I am fully free? How will I be? What if I see without judgment, love without reason? What if I give and receive without worry? What if I can be all and still be me? What if this is it? What if this is perfect? What if I don't doubt? What if I just believe? How will life be if I let it be? How would I be if I accept fully me? What would I be if today I am free? What if this is the new story? So thank you very much for holding the space for me to share my truest story. And I hope you do join me at Find Center or Redefine Podcasts, which you can find at findcenter.com. Thank you very much. And thank you, Antoinette, for this opportunity.
Zainab, thank you so much. It just, that last bit too, just brought so much feeling, emotion, sadness, joy, and gratitude truly for your presence here, for the gift that you give us, and for just being fully yourself and sharing this story of what you've been going through. And it resonated, so many pieces resonated with me going into the woods, and that immediate experience of, kind of everything that I have to do. And then as soon as I have to focus in on where I'm going and what's going on, just everything falling away. And really landing and being in this place. If I can't focus on anything else, I have to just focus on one step at a time. So that first step, so much resonated with me. So I wonder, now as we land here, thank you again, Zainab. And as we land here together in this group, just being here fully, and perhaps just being in the body and seeing what's resonating for you from what Zainab just shared, and just being fully here. I know I saw so many claps, rounds of applause happening when you finish sharing your story, and that beautiful gift of the poem at the end, the gift of a new story. So I just saw so many of us resonating with that, and just taking a moment of stillness and being here with what lands for you in your body. Perhaps taking a breath in, exhaling out completely. Just letting the resonance of Zainab's voice and story and poetry, just noticing where it lands. And in just a moment, we will turn to each other. So just finding that seed, the intention that you have, and what landed for you. And as we turn to one another, we connect inwards, but we also connect inwards so that we can connect with each other. And we connect with each other so that we can then reflect on what's happened internally. So just noticing what's here for you. And we'll turn to each other for breakouts for about 20 minutes, maybe 18, so we have some time at the end for harvest. I know that the last couple times we've had a longer harvest. So again, if you're looking for the podcast site, it's findcenter.com, and Ethi posted it in the chat, but I'll just put it here as well. So if you're joining us on YouTube, thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you actually not next week. We'll see you the week after, when we'll have Christy Nelson back with us on gratitude. So, but for now, we'll turn to each other in Zoom, and we'll be with each other for about 18 minutes. So enjoy your time together, and see you back here soon.